Who let this filthy black girl into my building? Victor Hale did not lower his voice. A young woman in a hoodie had just walked into his billion-dollar boardroom. Grant Holloway grabbed her arm. Get out, immediately. Sir, your interpreter canceled. I speak fluent Arabic. Fluent? Are you kidding me? Laughter rolled through the room. He stepped closer. Your mother crawls on her knees scrubbing my toilets. She didn't even finish high school. And you, in that filthy hoodie, you think you're smart enough to sit at this table? She did not flinch. Arms folded. I can do it. Fine. Translate. But if you make one mistake, I fire your mother tonight and you pay for everything. I won't fail, sir. She did not flinch. What she was about to uncover would make him regret every word for the rest of his life. But first, go back a short while before that moment. Nia Mercer rode the subway with earbuds in and her head down. Her phone screen glowed with Arabic legal terms, contract vocabulary, financial phrases, Islamic finance structures. She mouthed each word silently, a daily habit she had kept since she was a little girl. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Baby, I left my insulin at home. Can't leave the floor. Big event. Please hurry. Nia grabbed the insulin from the apartment and took the train uptown. Not long after, she stood in front of Hale Crestmont Tower. 60 floors of glass and steel on Park Avenue. The kind of building that looked as if it had been built to keep people like her out. She was right. The second she walked through the lobby doors, heads turned. A woman at the front desk looked her up and down. Hoodie, sneakers, backpack, and reached for the phone. A security guard stepped forward before she even opened her mouth. Deliveries go through the back. I'm not a delivery. I'm here to see my mother. She works on the 60th floor. Name, Estelle Mercer, facility staff. The guard checked his list as if he were doing her a favor. Then he slid a visitor badge across the counter without looking at her. Elevator on the left, don't touch anything. She clipped the badge to her jeans and walked. The elevator opened onto the 60th floor, a different world. Marble floors, the smell of espresso and fresh leather, soft golden light through floor-to-ceiling windows. She found her mother in the staff corridor. Estelle was folding cleaning cloths, hands cracked, knees wrapped in braces from more than 2 decades on hard floors. Nia handed her the insulin. Estelle hugged her tight. Thank you, baby. Now go home. Study. Nia turned to leave. That was when she heard it through the half-open boardroom door. Raised voices. A man barking orders in English, and underneath it, something only she would catch. A sentence in Arabic. Then another. She slowed down. She could not help it. Arabic was her father's language. It lived in her bones. She stopped walking. She looked through the door. And that decision changed everything. She sat down in the interpreter's chair. The leather was cold. The table stretched the length of the room. Polished mahogany, crystal water glasses, contract folders, thick as bricks. 9 men in suits that probably cost more than her mother earned in a year. Every single one of them was staring at her. An executive near the window leaned to his colleague. He did not even try to whisper. Hale is out of his mind. He's letting a street kid touch a billion-dollar deal. His colleague shook his head slowly. Give it a couple of minutes. She'll choke. They always do. Nobody offered her a chair adjustment. Nobody offered water. Nobody said her name. She was furniture that had not yet earned its place. Sheikh Karim Al-Faisal sat at the far end in a white robe, reading glasses low on his nose. His face was stone, unreadable. Beside him, a younger delegate watched Nia with something the others did not have. Curiosity. Claire Whitfield sat near the middle, silver hair, navy blazer. She had not spoken a word since Nia entered, but her eyes moved like a camera, recording everything, judging nothing. Victor Hale dropped a contract binder in front of Nia. It landed with a thud that echoed off the glass walls. He did not slide it. He dropped it like tossing scraps to a dog. Page 1. Start talking. No introduction. No explanation. Not even a glass of water. She opened the binder. Hale read his opening terms. Investment structure, capital allocation timelines, risk-sharing frameworks. He read fast, deliberately fast. He loaded every sentence with the heaviest jargon he had. Subordinated convertible notes, ratchet anti-dilution provisions, cross-collateralized debt instruments, compounding waterfall distribution schedules. He was not presenting. He was trying to drown her on the first lap. Nia translated into Arabic without hesitation. Not word for word. Better. She converted American financial idioms into their Gulf Arabic equivalents. When Hale said, "We're leaving money on the table," she did not translate it literally. She used an Arabic expression that carried the same cultural weight, one a Gulf investor would feel in his chest, not just process in his head. Sheikh Al-Faisal's eyebrows lifted just slightly. His junior delegate leaned forward. The executive by the window stopped talking. His smirk disappeared. Murk, Hale noticed. He did not like it. He pushed harder, faster, through acronyms. Subclauses buried inside subclauses. Sentences designed to make professional interpreters stumble. She caught every single one. Her voice stayed level, almost soft, but precise, like a surgeon's hand. Every Arabic phrase landed clean. Every pause fell in exactly the right place. Every number, every decimal, every date matched. Hale paused to sip his water. In that silence, Grant Holloway leaned over and muttered, "Where did she come from?" Hale did not answer. His jaw was tight. His fingers tapped the table, a rhythm only anxious men make. The sheikh, who a short while earlier had been reaching for his briefcase to walk out, now had both hands flat on the table, leaning in, hanging on every word this girl in a hoodie said. Claire Whitfield still had not spoken, but the corner of her mouth moved just barely. She saw what was happening. This girl had just shifted the entire gravity of the room, and she had done it without raising her voice once. As the meeting continued, Hale stopped speeding up. The aggression drained out of his voice. Something else replaced it, something he had not felt in years. Fear. This girl was not stumbling, not guessing, not faking. She was better than his professional interpreter, and every person in that room knew it. During a pause between sections, Hale leaned toward Grant. He dropped his voice low and switched to Arabic, the broken conversational Arabic he had picked up during years in Doha. Not enough to interpret a legal contract, but enough to talk behind someone's back. "She's better than I expected. Keep her away from Section 12B. When we get there, I'll handle the Arabic myself." Grant frowned. "Your Arabic isn't strong enough to—" "Doesn't matter. She doesn't go near that section." Naya did not turn her head, did not blink. She translated the next paragraph without missing a single beat. But she heard every word. Section 12. B. Keep her away. Hale would handle it himself. Why? What was hiding in that section? She did not know yet, but whatever it was important enough to whisper about in a language he was sure she could not understand. Her father's voice drifted into her mind. Not a memory, a cassette tape. A small apartment in Harlem. A man who knew he might not live forever, recording his voice so his daughter could keep learning after he was gone. Listen first, Nia. The truth is always in what people say when they think you can't understand. She kept translating, but now she was listening for something else entirely. She had learned Arabic from a dead man's voice. Her father, Elijah Mercer, had been a United Nations interpreter. Born in Khartoum, he spoke 6 languages before he turned 30. He translated in 3 war zones, 2 refugee camps, and 1 courtroom, where his words helped free 11 people who would have died without them. He smelled like black coffee and old books. That was what Naya remembered most. Every night after dinner, he would sit on the floor of their small Harlem apartment with Nia on his lap, a whiteboard on his knees. He would trace Arabic letters slowly, one by one, saying each sound out loud while she repeated after him. He made it a game. He made it music. He made it theirs. Then one evening he started recording cassette tapes, dozens of them. His voice reading Arabic vocabulary, grammar rules, children's stories, proverbs. He labeled each tape with a number and a date. Nia was 7. She asked him why. He knelt down and looked her in the eye. "Because I won't always be here, Habibi. But this language will. And when you listen to these tapes, you'll hear me." He died 8 months later, a stroke at his desk, mid-sentence, mid-translation. He was 42 years old. Everything fell apart after that. The apartment gone. The savings gone. Estelle took the only job she could find that offered health insurance for a widow raising a child alone, cleaning floors at Hale Crestmont Tower. She had been there ever since. More than 2 decades. Same floors, same silence, same invisibility. But every night in their new apartment, smaller, colder, farther from Manhattan, Nia pressed play on her father's tapes. His voice filled the room as if he had never left. She studied Arabic newspapers online. She watched Gulf business broadcasts. She listened to Al Jazeera until the anchor's rhythms became her own. She won a full scholarship to Columbia, linguistics and international contract law. Top of her class, the only student in the program who had not learned Arabic in a classroom. She learned it from a ghost who loved her enough to leave his voice behind. Nobody on the 60th floor knew any of this. To them, she was just the maid's daughter. Sections 2 through 5 went smoothly. Then Hale changed tactics. He stopped trying to outrun her. Instead, he started setting traps. Small ones, quiet ones, the kind only a professional interpreter would catch. In Section 6, he deliberately misstated a number, said 14% out loud. But the contract on the page read 40, a slip that would cost the Emirati side hundreds of millions if it went unnoticed. Naya caught it. She paused, looked down at the page, then looked up at Hale. "I believe you said 14%, sir. The contract reads 40. Would you like to clarify for the record?" The room went still. Hale's eye twitched. "Typo, 14 is correct." Sheikh Al-Faisal's junior delegate quietly circled the number on his own copy. He did not say a word. He did not need to. In Section 8, it happened again. Hale used a legal term, then defined it incorrectly in his explanation. A subtle twist that would shift liability from Hale Crestmont onto the Emirati Fund. Naya caught that too. She translated what Hale actually said. Then she added calmly, professionally, "For clarity, the standard legal definition of this term differs from the explanation just provided. I want to ensure both parties have a consistent understanding." Grant Holloway's pen stopped moving. Hale stared at her, not with anger anymore, with something worse. Recognition. He was realizing, slowly, painfully, that this girl in a hoodie was not just translating his words. She was understanding his intentions. The executive by the window, the one who had called her a street kid earlier, now avoided her eyes completely. Claire Whitfield uncrossed her arms for the first time in the entire meeting. She leaned back, watching with a faint expression that almost looked like admiration. Section 9. Section 10. Nia translated them both flawlessly. Now the binder was getting thinner. The sections were running out. And Section 12B was getting closer. Naya could feel it. Every time Hale glanced at Grant, his eyes carried the same message. Not yet. Almost there. Be ready. During the transition between Section 10 and 11, Grant stood up and walked behind Nia's chair. He leaned down close enough that she could smell his cologne. "You're doing well," he said. Quiet, almost friendly. "But you look tired. The next few sections are extremely technical. Why don't you take a break, get some water, stretch your legs?" It sounded like kindness. It was not. Nia kept her eyes on the binder. "I'm fine, thank you." Grant did not move. "Seriously, we can pause for a few minutes. Nobody would blame you." I said I'm fine. He returned to his seat. She caught him exchange a look with Hale, a look that said, "She's not leaving." Section 11. Clean. Flawless. One section left. 12B. Hale cleared his throat. He adjusted his tie. He straightened the contract in front of him. Small movements. But Nia read them like sentences. He was nervous. "Miss Mercer." His voice was lighter now, almost casual. "This last section is fairly technical, mostly boilerplate. I can handle the Arabic myself, save you the trouble." She looked at him. "Consistency is important in legal interpretation, sir. I'd like to finish what I started." Haley held her gaze for 2 full seconds. Then he looked away. He opened Section 12B. So did she. And in the next moments, everything Victor Hale had spent 18 months building was about to collapse. Because the girl he had called a cockroach was about to read the one paragraph he never wanted anyone to translate. Hale raised his hand. "Let's take 10 before the final section." It sounded natural. It was not. Nia saw him pull Grant toward the side corridor the second the room shifted. They had a short window to figure out how to keep her away from 12B. She had the same window to decide what to do about it. Nia stepped into the staff hallway. The air was different here. No espresso. No leather. Just the chemical bite of industrial cleaner and the hum of fluorescent lights. She found her mother in the supply closet. Estelle was restocking paper towels, hands cracked and raw, knees wrapped in the same braces she had worn for years. She looked up when Nia walked in, and the expression on her face was not pride. It was terror. "Baby, what are you doing in there?" Grant Holloway came past here a little while ago. He looked at me like I was already fired. "Mama, I need to tell you something. There's a section in the contract, something they don't want me to translate. I think they're hiding." Estelle grabbed her arm. Hard. "Stop right now. Mama, listen to me. I have worked in this building for 22 years. 22 years without one complaint. Not one. I kept my head down. I kept my mouth shut. I cleaned their messes, and I smiled when they didn't even look at me. I did that for you. Every single day. For you." Her voice cracked. "If you make trouble for that man, if you say one wrong word, we lose everything. The job, the insurance, the apartment, everything I built on my knees so you could stand up straight. Do you understand me?" Nia looked at her mother. She saw 22 years of silence carved into every line of her face. 22 years of swallowed words, of being invisible on purpose, of choosing survival over dignity again and again and again, because a daughter needed to eat. She wanted to say, "You're right. I'll stop." She almost did. Then, through the thin wall of the supply closet, she heard them. Hale and Grant in the corridor, speaking Arabic. Broken, clumsy Arabic, but clear enough. "Hale, when we go back in, I'll read 12B myself. Tell her she's done." Grant, "And if she pushes back?" Hale laughed, low and ugly. "She won't. She's a maid's daughter. These people don't push back. That's why they stay on their knees. It's in their blood." The sheikh seems to like her. The sheikh likes a novelty. A trained monkey that speaks Arabic. That's all she is. Once this is signed, she goes back to carrying her mother's mop where she belongs. Silence. Nia stood in the supply closet, her mother's hand still gripping her arm. Estelle had not heard the Arabic, but she saw her daughter's face change. "Nia, don't! Mama, please!" Nia gently lifted her mother's hand from her arm. She held it, squeezed it. pressed it against her own cheek the way she used to do as a child when her father's cassette tapes made her cry. "I love you, Mama, but I can't be silent. Not about this." She kissed her mother's hand, set it down, turned, and walked back toward the boardroom. Behind her, Estelle pressed her back against the closet wall and slid to the floor, her hand over her mouth, crying without sound, the way she had learned to cry in buildings where no one wanted to hear her. Nia reached the boardroom door. She stopped. She breathed. Her father's voice, the cassette tape, one more time. "Listen first, Nia. The truth is in what people say when they think you can't understand." She walked in. She sat down. She opened Section 12B. Hale read Section 12B aloud in English. Operational management fee, 0.4% per annum, allocated to general fund administration and oversight. Standard language. Clean. Boring. The kind of clause nobody reads twice. Nia looked at the English version. Then she turned to the Arabic version on the opposite page. She read the first line. Then she stopped. Her eyes moved across the Arabic text slowly, word by word. The room waited. Hale watched her with a thin smile, the smile of a man who thinks he has already won. The Arabic version started the same way. Operational management fee, 0.4%. But then, halfway through the paragraph, the language shifted. New words appeared, words that were not in the English version, not even close. A structured financing vehicle, a routing mechanism, a company name, Crestmont Strategic Holdings, jurisdiction, Cayman Islands, beneficiary, the personal investment portfolio of the Chief Executive Officer of Hale Crestmont Holdings, Victor Hale. The math hit her like a wall. 0.4% of $1 billion. $40 million a year. Over the 10-year life of the contract, $400 million taken from Claire Whitfield's pension fund clients, teachers, firefighters, transit workers, and from Sheikh Al Faisal's sovereign fund. Redirected through a shell company, straight into Hale's pocket. Hidden in plain sight. Written in a language he was sure nobody at this table would double-check. Nia's hands went still on the page. Her heartbeat filled her ears. She had two choices. Read the English version out loud. Pretend the two matched. Protect herself. Protect her mother. Walk out. Forget everything. Go back to being invisible. Or read the Arabic version, word for word, in front of everyone. Expose the man who had threatened to destroy her life while sitting 3 feet away from him. If she was wrong, even slightly, Hale would bury her and her mother with her. If she was right, she was about to end a billionaire's career from the interpreter's chair. She thought of Estelle sliding down the closet wall, crying with her hand over her mouth. She thought of her father's voice, the cassette tape, the same words, always the same words. The truth is in what people say when they think you can't understand. She looked up, straight ahead, not at Hale, not at Grant, at no one in particular, and everyone at once. Then she spoke. Section 12B, Arabic version. Her voice was steady, almost quiet. Operational management fee of 0.4% per annum, to be allocated through a structured financing vehicle to Crestmont Strategic Holdings, a limited liability company registered in the Cayman Islands. Hale's smile disappeared. For the sole and exclusive benefit, Grant's pen hit the table. Of the personal investment portfolio of the Chief Executive Officer of Hale Crestmont Holdings. She paused. Let it land. That would be you, Mr. Hale. The room did not gasp. It did not erupt. It did something worse. It went completely, absolutely silent. The kind of silence that has weight. The kind that presses against your chest. The kind that tells you something has just broken and it will never be put back together. Sheikh Al Faisal slowly removed his reading glasses. He set them on the table without a sound. Claire Whitfield opened her tablet. Hale stood frozen, his mouth slightly open, his hand gripping the back of his chair so hard his knuckles turned white. The girl he had called a cockroach had just read his secret out loud in a room full of the only people who mattered. Hale exploded. "That is a lie." He slammed his hand on the table. Water glasses rattled. "That is a complete and total lie. She made it up. She doesn't know what she's reading. She's a janitor's daughter in a hoodie. She has no education, no credentials, no authority to interpret a legal document." He turned to the room, arms wide, voice rising. "Are we seriously going to let a cleaning woman's child blow up an 18-month deal? This is sabotage. This is a competitor playing games." Then he turned on Nia, pointed at her. "Who sent you? Who's paying you?" She did not stand. She did not raise her voice. She just looked at him from the interpreter's chair, the chair he had given her, and spoke. "Mr. Hale, would you like me to read back what you said in Arabic during the break?" His face changed. "A short while ago you told Mr. Holloway in Arabic, 'When we go back in, I'll read 12B myself. Tell her she's done.' A few minutes later you called me, and I'm quoting, 'a trained monkey that speaks Arabic.' You also said, and this is the part I want everyone in this room to hear, these people don't push back. That's why they stay on their knees. It's in their blood." She paused. "Let every word settle into the silence. Would you like me to continue, sir? Because I remember everything, in both languages." Grant Holloway's face turned the color of old paper. He reached for the contract folders on the table, a reflex, the instinct to hide evidence. Claire Whitfield's general counsel, Helena Voss, placed her hand flat on the folders. Calm, immovable. "Those are evidence now, counselor. Don't touch them." Claire stood. She did not rush. She smoothed her blazer. She looked at Sheikh Al-Faisal. "Sheikh, I am requesting an independent verification of Section 12B. Miss Mercer has provided a translation. Mr. Hale disputes it. I'd like your delegation to confirm which version is accurate." Sheikh Al-Faisal nodded to his junior delegate. The young man had already been reading. He looked up from the Arabic text. His voice was quiet, but absolute. "Miss Mercer's translation is correct. The Arabic version does not match the English. The discrepancy is not a typo. It is structured, intentional, and significant." Claire turned to Hale. She did not yell. She did not need to. Her voice was cold silk wrapped around a blade. "Victor, you told this young woman that if the deal fell apart, she would bear responsibility. You told her you'd fire her mother. You told her you'd put them both on the street." She paused. "I want to be very clear about who bears responsibility today." Then she turned to Nia. "Miss Mercer, on behalf of Whitfield Heritage Group and the 300,000 pension fund members, whose retirement savings you just protected, thank you." Nia's hands were trembling beneath the table, but her voice held. "You're welcome, ma'am." Claire picked up her phone. "Helena, conference room B. Bring everything, and call the SEC." The room was in controlled chaos. Helena Voss gathering documents. Grant on the phone, whispering fast. Hale sitting motionless, staring at the table like a man watching his own funeral. In the middle of all of it, Sheikh Al-Faisal stood slowly. He adjusted his robe. Then he walked around the full length of the table, past his delegates, past Claire, past Hale, until he reached Nia. The noise faded. Everyone watched. He spoke to her quietly in Arabic, not business Arabic, personal Arabic, the kind reserved for family. "Your accent," he said. "It's unusual. There is Khartoum in it, and something underneath. Something learned not from conversation but from recordings, from a voice you listen to alone. Am I wrong?" Nia's breath caught. "You're not wrong, sir. Your father. What was his name?" Elijah Mercer. The sheikh went still. His eyes changed, the way a man's eyes change when a door opens to a room he thought was locked forever. "Elijah Mercer," he repeated softly. The United Nations. Beirut. The Conference on Refugee Resettlement. He was the only interpreter in the room I trusted. 3 governments wanted my testimony silenced. Your father translated every word, knowing the risk to himself. A brave man. A good man. Naya's eyes filled. She pressed her lips together. She would not cry. Not here. Not yet. He never told me that story, she whispered. He wouldn't have. He was not a man who kept score. The Sheikh's voice softened, but I kept score for him. He reached inside his robe and removed a fountain pen. Black and gold, engraved along the barrel in Arabic calligraphy, with a single phrase that translated to, "Truth rises and is never overcome." He placed it on the table in front of her. "Your father's pen is somewhere lost. Use mine. You earned it today." Nia looked at the pen. She could not speak. She pressed her hand flat on the table to keep it from shaking. And then, in the silence, she felt something, a presence in the doorway. She turned. Estelle Mercer stood at the threshold of the boardroom, still in her cleaning uniform, a cloth still in her hand. She had not stepped inside. She never did. For 22 years, this room was something she wiped down after everyone left. She had never once stood in it while it mattered. She was watching her daughter, sitting at the table she had scrubbed on her knees for half her life, receive a gift from a sheik who remembered her husband's name. Estelle's hand went to her mouth. She cried without making a single sound. Haley did not go quietly. He straightened his jacket, smoothed his tie, rolled his shoulders like a boxer between rounds. And when he spoke again, his voice was different, controlled, polished. The voice of a man who had talked his way out of corners for 30 years. "Claire, Sheikh, let's all slow down." He held up both hands, palms open. "Come, reasonable. What we have here is a translation variance. That's all this is. These things happen in bilingual contracts every day. Ask anyone in international law. A word shifts during conversion. A clause gets misaligned between drafts. It's a drafting error. That's it. Nothing more." He let that settle. Then came the smile. The boardroom smile. The one that had closed 100 deals. "We've spent 18 months building this partnership. 18 months of work. Hundreds of hours. Millions in legal fees. And we're going to throw all of that away because a girl we pulled off the hallway a short while ago read one paragraph she didn't understand?" He looked around the room slowly, man by man, searching for an ally, a nod, a softened expression. Anything. He got silence. Claire Whitfield stood. She did not rush. She buttoned her blazer with one hand and opened her tablet with the other. 2 taps. Then she turned the screen toward the boardroom projector. A document filled the wall. Corporate registry. Cayman Islands government portal. Crestmont Strategic Holdings. LLC. Date of registration, 90 days earlier. Jurisdiction. Georgetown, Grand Cayman. Sole beneficial owner. Victor W. Hale. Claire let it sit on the screen. 5 seconds. 10. She wanted every person in that room to read it, absorb it, understand what it meant. Then she spoke quietly. So quietly, the room leaned forward to hear her. "A drafting error, Victor?" She let the question hang. "You registered a shell company in the Cayman Islands 3 months ago. You are its sole owner. And the Arabic version of Section 12b, the version you tried to keep this young woman from reading, funnels $400 million directly into that company. Into your pocket." She tilted her head just slightly. "Is that also a typo?" Hale's smile did not disappear all at once. It cracked slowly, like a windshield after the first stone hits. The damage already done. The collapse just a matter of time. "Claire." His voice changed again, softer now, personal. "We've known each other 20 years. 20 years. You know me. You know my character. I would never. I have known you for 20 years, Victor. Claire's voice dropped to almost a whisper. I have known Miss Mercer for less than 1 hour. She paused. I trust her more. That sentence landed like a door slamming shut. Hale turned fast. He walked toward Nia. Grant moved with him. 2 men in tailored suits closing in on a girl in a hoodie. You. Hale's voice was not polished anymore. It was raw, stripped. You did this. You came into my building. You sat in my chair. And you destroyed everything I built. Somebody put you up to this. Somebody is paying you. Tell me who. He was close enough now that she could smell his cologne. Close enough that his shadow fell across the contract binder on the table. Nia stood up slowly. She did not step backward. She did not look down. She looked directly into his eyes, the same eyes that had looked at her an hour earlier and seen a cockroach. She spoke in Arabic first, clear, unhurried, loud enough for Sheikh Al-Faisal and every delegate in the room to hear. Then, she translated her own words into English, every sentence, so no one could miss a single syllable. No one. Mr. Hale, when I first walked into this room, you said in front of everyone, "Who let this filthy black girl into my building?" You told Mr. Holloway to throw me out. You said my mother didn't finish high school. You said I smelled like a mop bucket. Hale's jaw locked. During the break, you spoke to Mr. Holloway in Arabic. You said, and I am quoting directly, "She's a trained monkey that speaks Arabic. That's all she is." A few minutes later, you said, "These people don't push back. That's why they stay on their knees. It's in their blood." And then you said I belong carrying my mother's mop. She paused. One breath. I didn't write any of this down, Mr. Hale. I didn't need to. I remember every word you said today, in both languages. Every insult, every slur, every whisper you thought was safe. Her voice did not waver. Not once. Would you like me to continue? Because I have more. The stenographer's fingers had not stopped moving. The Emirati junior delegate had his phone flat on the table, recording light on. Hale opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing. For the first time in 30 years of boardrooms, Victor Hale had absolutely nothing to say. Sheikh Al-Faisal rose to his full height. He clasped his hands in front of him, not the posture of a man making a suggestion, the posture of a man delivering a verdict. Mr. Hale, his voice was stone. I noticed the discrepancy in Section 12B during my flight from Abu Dhabi. My legal team flagged it before we landed. Every head in the room turned. I did not raise it. I wanted to see who in this room had honor, and who would try to bury the truth. He paused. Looked at Nia. I found my answer. Then back at Hale. It was not you. Al-Faisal Sovereign Investments withdraws from all the dealings with Hale Crestmont Holdings effective immediately. There will be no renegotiation. Hale gripped the back of his chair. His knuckles went white. Sheikh, we can restructure. We can amend. In my country, Mr. Hale, we have a saying. A thief who steals in 2 languages is still a thief. He is only twice the fool. The boardroom doors opened from the outside. 2 building security officers entered. Behind them, 2 figures in dark suits, federal IDs clipped to their belts. FBI. Claire had made the call earlier, the moment Helena confirmed the Cayman Shell Company. Nobody was arrested. Not yet. But Hale and Grant were each handed a federal preservation order. No documents destroyed. No assets transferred. Do not leave the building. Grant took his copy with trembling hands. Hale did not reach for his. An agent placed it on the table in front of him. He stared at it, like it was written in a language he had never learned. Maybe it was. The language of consequences was something Victor Hale had never had to speak. Nia stood at the interpreter's chair, the chair he had given her to fail in. The chair he had turned into a threat. The chair where she was supposed to choke, cry, and prove every ugly thing he believed about people who looked like her. She was still in the hoodie, still in the old sneakers, staff badge still clipped to her jeans. But in her hand, she held the sheik's pen, and the man who had called her a cockroach could not bring himself to look at her. The deal did not die. It evolved. Within a short time, Claire Whitfield and Sheikh Al-Faisal sat down in a different conference room, a smaller one on a quieter floor with no mahogany table and no crystal glasses. Just two leaders, two legal teams, and one interpreter. Nia Mercer. The restructured deal was clean, direct. Hale Crestmont was erased from every page. The new partnership, Whitfield Heritage and Al-Faisal Sovereign Investments, closed at $1.1 billion. More than the original. Because when you remove a thief from the equation, the math always gets better. Nia was named the deal's official interpreter and junior translation consultant. Her first professional engagement, her first contract. She signed it with the Sheikh's pen. The ink felt different than anything she had ever written with before. Heavier, like the pen understood what it was doing. She set it down on the table and stared at her own signature for a long moment. A girl who had entered this building carrying insulin in a plastic bag had just signed a document attached to $1 billion deal with a pen given to her by a man who remembered her dead father's name. She did not cry, but she held the pen a little tighter than she needed to. Later that afternoon, Claire Whitfield did something no executive in Hale Crestmont Tower had ever done. She walked to the staff corridor, not the elevator lobby, not the executive lounge. The staff corridor. The one with fluorescent lights and concrete floors and the faint smell of industrial bleach that never quite goes away. She found Estelle Mercer folding cleaning cloths. Same station, same routine, same cracked hands. Estelle looked up and froze. In 22 years, no one from the executive floor had ever come here. Not once. Mrs. Mercer. Claire's voice was warm. Not corporate warm. Real warm. Your daughter saved my company. She protected 300,000 people's retirement savings. She did something that a room full of lawyers, executives, and advisors couldn't do. Or wouldn't. Estelle's lip trembled. She pressed her hands flat against the folding table to stop them from shaking. I'd like to offer you a position. Director of Facilities Operations at Whitfield Heritage Group's New York headquarters. Salaried. Full benefits. Profit sharing. You'll have an office, a desk, a door with your name on it. Estelle blinked. Ma'am, I don't have a degree. Claire tilted her head. Mrs. Mercer, you've managed a 60-floor building for 22 years without a single complaint. You know every system, every schedule, every vendor, every weakness in the infrastructure. That's not a job. That's a master's degree nobody gave you credit for. Estelle looked down at the cleaning cloth in her hand. She had folded thousands of them. Tens of thousands, in this same corridor, under these same lights for 22 years. She sat down, not on the supply crate she usually sat on the chair Claire had pulled up beside her. And she cried. Not the silent crying from the doorway. Not the hand-over-the-mouth crying she had perfected over 2 decades of being invisible. Real crying. The kind that comes from somewhere so deep you forgot it was there. Claire sat beside her. Did not speak. Did not check her phone. Did not look at her watch. She just sat with a woman who had spent 22 years on her knees and let her cry for as long as she needed. The story broke fast. The Wall Street Journal ran first. Columbia student exposes $400 million fraud during live billion-dollar signing. The New York Times followed. A janitor's daughter, a missing interpreter, and the Arabic that saved $500 million. Al Jazeera English picked it up that evening. From Khartoum to Park Avenue. A father's language uncovers corporate betrayal. Within days, Nia Mercer was the most talked about name in American finance. Not because she was loud, because she was right. Victor Hale was indicted on 12 federal counts: wire fraud, securities fraud, conspiracy, violations of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Grant Holloway accepted a plea deal within weeks. He testified against Hale in exchange for a reduced sentence. Hale fought it. He hired 4 attorneys, filed 9 motions, gave 2 interviews claiming he was the victim of a setup. None of it worked. He was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Full restitution ordered. His assets frozen. His name stripped from the building he built, Hale Crestmont. Holdings collapsed within months. The tower was sold. Renamed, the new owners kept the marble floors and the mahogany table. They did not keep the name. Months later, Columbia University, the law school atrium. A small ceremony. No cameras, no press. Just the dean of the law school, the head of the linguistics department, Claire Whitfield in person, and Sheikh Al-Faisal on a screen from Abu Dhabi. Nia was awarded a full graduate fellowship in international legal translation, the first in the program's history to be funded by a sovereign wealth fund. Sheikh Al-Faisal made one additional announcement. His foundation was endowing a new academic chair at Columbia, the Elijah Mercer Memorial Chair in Legal Translation, named for a man who died at 42. Mid-sentence, mid-translation, at a desk in a small apartment in Harlem. Named for a man who left behind cassette tapes so his daughter could keep learning after he was gone. Nia stood at the podium. She did not cry. She thanked the university. She thanked Claire. She thanked the sheikh. Then she said one sentence that nobody in that room would ever forget. "I want to thank Estelle Mercer, my mother, who cleaned every floor between me and this podium." Estelle was in the 3rd row. New blouse. First time in a long time she had worn something that was not a uniform. She pressed her hand to her chest and nodded once, the way people do when they are afraid that if they open their mouth, everything they have held inside for 22 years will come out at once. Later, on a quiet morning, the renamed tower lobby. Mr. Khalil, the Yemeni security guard, stood at the front entrance. Same post, same smile. He saw her coming through the revolving door and straightened up. Nia walked through. Tailored suit, Columbia faculty ID around her neck, briefcase in one hand. She greeted him in Arabic. He grinned and opened the door wider. "Welcome back, Habibi," she smiled, walked toward the elevator, pressed 60. In her breast pocket, the sheikh's pen. The same floors, the same marble, the same building her mother had cleaned on her knees. Different name on the door now. Different woman walking through it. A year later, Nia Mercer sat in a glass conference room 30 floors above the Dubai Marina. Blue water stretched to the horizon. The air conditioning hummed. A fresh contract lay on the table. The second phase of the Whitfield Al-Faisal joint venture. She was the lead interpreter. Sheikh Al-Faisal introduced her to his new delegation that morning. He did not mention the hoodie. He did not mention the sneakers. He said 5 words. "The woman who reminded me that honor has no dress code." She translated the entire session without a single correction. When it was done, the sheikh leaned over and said quietly in Arabic, "Your father would be proud, but I think he already knows." Back in New York, Estelle Mercer had an office. Not a supply closet, not a staff corridor. An office. 4th floor of Whitfield Heritage's Manhattan headquarters, window facing east. Morning light on her desk every day. On that desk, a framed photograph of Elijah. Beside it, the small whiteboard he used to teach Nia Arabic letters when she was 7. Estelle had kept it in a closet for 15 years. Now it sat where she could see it every morning before anyone else arrived. She had hired 4 of her former cleaning colleagues into salaried positions, women who had worked beside her for years, invisible, uncounted, unnamed on any company directory. They had desks now. They had benefits. They had doors with their names on them. It was not the whole world, but it was a floor. And sometimes a floor is where everything begins. Nia launched the Elijah Mercer Linguistics Fund that spring, a scholarship. Full tuition for the children of service workers, janitors, hotel cleaners, security guards, kitchen staff, bus drivers, the people who keep buildings standing and cities running and never once get asked what their children dream about. The first cohort, 12 students, 12 kids whose parents mopped floors, washed dishes, folded other people's laundry. On their first day, each one received a gift, a Mont Blanc pen, black and gold, engraved with their name and a single phrase. The same phrase the sheikh had carried on his pen. The same phrase Nia now carried on hers. Truth rise and is never overcome. One tapt had bivat well. The symbol had become a movement. Victor Hale is currently serving his second year at a federal correctional facility. He has 6 years remaining. The building that once carried his name does not anymore. On a quiet afternoon, Nia sat on the front stoop of her mother's apartment in Harlem. Estelle sat beside her. They were eating sandwiches from the corner deli, the same one they had been going to since Nia was 5. Estelle wore the same cardigan she had worn for 10 years. Nia had the sheikh's pen clipped to her notebook. They talked about nothing. A neighbor's new dog, the price of eggs, whether it would rain later. The kind of conversation that does not need a reason. It just needs 2 people who love each other sitting close enough to share the quiet. Nothing about the love between them had changed. Everything about the world around them had. This week I want you to do one thing. Just one. Find the person in your building, your office, your school, your hospital, that everybody walks past without looking. The one who cleans the bathroom, the one who empties the trash at midnight, the one who holds the elevator door with a smile that nobody returns. Learn their name. Say it out loud. That is it. That is all I am asking. If this story hit you, drop one word in the comments. Scene. Just that. Like this video, so the algorithm puts it in front of someone who needs to hear it tonight. Subscribe if you want more stories about the people this world tried to make invisible, and send it to someone in your life who has been overlooked for too long. There are real scholarship funds for the children of service workers, real ones. Link in the description. $5 matters. Showing up matters more. And if you remember nothing else from this story, remember this. The truth does not need a suit. It just needs someone brave enough to speak. Never underestimate the quiet ones, the people you overlook. They might be the ones saving your whole career. Stay humble. Stay kind. Because karma does not need Wi-Fi. It always connects. And hey, learn someone's name today. That is it. Never underestimate the quiet ones, the people you overlook. They might be the ones saving your whole career. Stay humble. Stay kind. Because karma does not need Wi-Fi. It always connects. And hey, learn someone's name today. That is it.